Today on Inspired Money.
Basically, like a franchise, you get the operations manual and you get the support, but I offer it free of charge because it's my way of giving back and helping out people that were basically maybe in the same boat that I was when I started out, almost 40 years ago, not much money, not much education, not many skills. And, here's a way that you can start your own business yourself and be successful, provided that you are passionate, patient, and persistent. And if you work your business, the business will work for you.
This is episode 150 with author and founder of Cleanlots, Brian Winch. Welcome to Inspired Money. My name is Andy Wong, a managing partner at Runnymede Capital Management. Each week, we bring you an interesting person to help you get inspired, shift your perspectives on money, and achieve incredible things. From making it to giving it away, inspired money means making a difference, creating something bigger than oneself, and maybe, just maybe, making the world a better place. Thank you for joining me. Hey, Inspired Moneymaker, welcome back. If this is your first time listening, welcome. We've got a great show for you today. We're talking to Brian Winch, founder of Cleanlots, which he calls America's simplest business. He turned his side hustle into a six-figure business by cleaning up litter in parking lots. Entrepreneur Magazine wrote this about parking lot litter cleanup. The biggest market is in shopping centers. About 70% of them contract out the cleaning of their parking lots. The next biggest source of jobs is industrial parks. In this episode, you'll learn the progression of Brian's business from part-time to full-time as an owner-operator to hiring employees, what types of customers Brian serves, and factors that go into pricing parking lot cleanup. Now let's get inspired with Brian Winch. Brian, welcome to Inspired Money. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Well, it's great to be here, Andrew.
Let's jump right in. What's your earliest childhood memory of money?
Oh, wow. Well, I guess I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I came up with this brilliant idea, I thought at the time, to make some extra money. And what I did was I gathered up some of my brother's toys. I've got twin brothers. They're both a year younger than I am. But I got together some of their toys. I cleaned them up, and rather than a lemonade stand, I went out to the front of our house and set up a couple of tables and started selling their toys and to make some extra money. And you can definitely understand how they definitely were not happy with me.
It sounds like you had a couple of brothers who were probably ready to battle with you.
Yeah, well, that's what I recall. I recall making some money, but I also remember once they found out what I was doing on the front street, they came down and put a quick end to it. So, it wasn't a lemonade stand like a lot of people with their first little side gig or hustle. Or I was selling my brother's toys.
Right, to your brother's protest. There was a time that you felt like you had limited options in terms of work. Can you take us back 40 years ago? Why did you have a desire to start a business, which I understand was a side business at the time?
I guess I learned from my parents from an early age the value of money. Both my parents were blue-collar, working-class people, not much for education. So they did what they had to do, which included some side hustles at the time. And, back then, nobody called them side gigs or side hustles. They were part-time jobs or you moonlighted. But my dad was a really good example of that. He was a janitor for a full-time job. And he had several side hustles, whether it be shoveling snow or cutting grass in the neighborhood, and one really struck with me was he would clean up litter outside a nearby shopping plaza early morning before he would go to work. And he took me along with him a couple times, and I thought, well, this is easy work. All we did was walk around the parking lot, the sidewalks, and the surrounding landscape, and sweep up any type of litter material we would find into our litter collection tool. People are notorious for discarding cigarette butts, used fast food wrappers, empty coffee cups, outside shopping plazas. And so there was a need for that. And I guess he identified that need. And, he was making extra money doing this. And I thought, well, that was pretty easy to do. And so I recalled him doing that when I was 21 years of age, and I was working a full-time job myself. But I wasn't really happy doing it. And I thought, I can't see myself doing this the rest of my life. Not just that particular job, but really working for somebody else. I've always had an independent streak. And I thought, well, I don't really have a lot of money. I didn't go to college, so I didn't have any type of business training, no real marketable skills at the time other than, what my, work experience had been. And that was working at a sporting goods store, whether it be on the sales floor or as a shipper receiver. And so I thought, I don't like working inside all day. I'd like to do something outdoors. And like I said, then I thought, well, my dad did this, and, maybe I should look into this and see if I can make a full-time business out of that. So long story short, I started doing that as a side gig and picked up 3 accounts or 3 properties. So that was my first contract with one particular property manager. And it all kind of grew from there. And within a matter of 3 or 4 short months, I quit my full-time job because I was making more money part-time cleaning up litter outside parking lots, and devoted my time to building my business full-time.
That's really cool. When you first decided that you wanted to start this business and you were still working your full-time job, what were the first steps to land those first 3 clients?
Unfortunately, I didn't have my dad's experience to call upon because he had just passed away unexpectedly just a couple of months before I decided to start this business as a side gig. But I do remember him taking a couple of phone calls at home from one of his clients. And the client in this case was the nearby shopping plaza that he was cleaning, and he had taken me to a couple of times. And so I remembered, okay, well, I guess your prospects, your clients here in this case are property managers or property management companies and not, in fact, the individual stores. So when I started marketing this or testing the market, if you will, I just grabbed the old-fashioned Yellow Pages telephone directory, which was the internet of that day and age. And, I just thumbed through until I got to property management or real estate management companies, and I started cold calling. And I had to learn pretty quickly how to refine my elevator pitch and get to the point quickly and make an introduction and sell the benefits of what I can do for that prospect. And that's give them a cleaner, litter-free property for less money. And so after refining my elevator pitch with a few phone calls, I guess I struck gold. I contacted somebody who said, this is a very opportune time for you to give me a call, because I was just having a discussion in the office that we weren't happy with the person who was cleaning up the litter outside of our 3 strip plazas. Would you be interested? And so that's where all the learning began. I basically had to come up with the pricing. How do I price my service? What tools should I use? Which tools work best? What's the best time of day to service the property? And I like to call it the school of hard knocks. And so I learned a lot from those first 3 properties. So I was better able and better equipped to service the needs of my the subsequent clients.
I'm so sorry to hear about your dad's sudden passing. What do you think your dad would think about your business?
Well, hopefully he'd be looking down at me. He'd be very proud of what I did, and that was take his idea for a side hustle, and I grew it into a very successful business that I still operate today. And we bill out over six figures, typically about $600,000 a year in litter pick work, and we don't do anything else. We don't do snow removal. We don't cut grass. We don't do pressure washing. We focus on doing that one service, and we've had customers for 10, 20, 30 years. I mean, I've been doing one property probably for almost 35 years now with the same family. I first started dealing with this fellow's dad, and then when his dad retired and turned the business over to the son, I'm dealing with him now. And you learn that not everyone wants to do this type of work, obviously, and not everyone can do it, because what you need to do is more than just go out and clean litter. What you need to do is provide that extra value. And so we make a point that when we're out cleaning our properties, if we see things like somebody's dumped off a sofa and mattress at the back of the building next to a waste dumpster, or the wall has been tagged with fresh graffiti, or a stop sign has been run down in the parking lot, we always contact our clients and let them know about these things. And it does two things. It shows them that we're out at the properties cleaning them, but we're also an extra set of eyes for them. It helps us cement that relationship or build that relationship with that particular client so that they're more likely wanting to continue doing business with us and send more business our way, because they get that little bit of extra bonus, a little bit of extra service from us, as opposed to just having somebody going out and cleaning up and that's the end of the day.
I heard two really valuable lessons there. One is to stick with your specialty. Don't get distracted by taking on other things that's away from like your core business. And then the importance of providing value. It's not just cleaning litter. It's really creating a positive experience for your customers. You love this business because it doesn't require a lot of equipment. You don't need a lot of money up front. It seems like anyone can start it, even a 21-year-old kid. And you learned by doing. What were some of the challenges in those early days when you were a one-man show?
Basically, when you start up a business, before you even start marketing, you have to find out the legal requirements. Do you need a business license? What type of permits do you need? What type of business liability insurance is your business going to require? The legal structure. Are you going to start out as an LLC or a sole proprietorship, et cetera, et cetera? What type of marketing materials? How are you going to market your business? How are your clients going to find you? All sorts of things like that. And basically, like you say, you learn from doing. And if you have the right attitude that you're passionate for what your service or your product is. And I think that's key with anybody getting into any type of business, whether it's a side hustle or a full-time business. Don't just follow the money or follow the bucks and make the mistake of, chasing the latest flavor of the day. You have to look at where your interests lie and what you would be willing to do and like to do. And in my case, it was working outdoors and providing a simple service that most other people don't want to do. And after all, fortunes are made. Many fortunes have been made in cleaning businesses. And so it's not difficult or dirty work. I don't physically touch any of the material that I clean up. It all goes into a simple hand tool. That is, the contents are dumped into a waste dumpster on site. Another thing I often tell my students that I teach how to provide a similar service in their own city is go for the low-lying fruit as opposed to, spending a ton of money. And oftentimes, if you're starting this business, other people, they don't have a lot of money. But before you develop a website, and this applies to anybody getting into business, claim your free Google My Business listing. And, all the other search engines have a similar deal as well, a profile or listing. But what it does is once you have all your contact information, your company name, your email address, your telephone number, etc., you get a free Google My Business listing, and you just do a Google search for that. It doesn't cost anything, but it gives you, all of a sudden now you've got a profile on Google. So if prospects are looking for your product or service, they can find you. You're going to show up, and that's so important. In addition to making the cold calls and trying to find prospects, you have to be able, in certain places, or you have to make it easy for your prospects to find you as well.
Brian, how has the business changed from 40 years ago when you made those initial calls to property management companies to today?
The service really hasn't changed in terms of how it's provided. Simple hand tools. We're not a sweeping service. We don't need any power equipment. Our service is a daily upkeep, basically, where our clients want their properties maintained litter free. And that is best done by a service provided on foot with the simple hand tools, like I said. But where it's changed the most is obviously the technology. With the phone calls. I mean, when I started out, it was just the landline phones, and now you've got, the iPhones or et cetera, the cell phones, and that makes your work that much easier in terms of communication. And I'll give you an example. I mean, when I first started out, if I noticed somebody dumped off a mattress at the back of the building, I mean, I would have to phone them and leave them a message or try to convey where this mattress is at their property, etc. Whereas now, all I have to do is just take a picture with my phone and add a text or send it in an email, and they know exactly what I'm talking about because they can see for themselves. It's the same thing too in terms of marketing. Rather than snail mailing out brochures or postcards or flyers, you can now have a website or, like I said, the Google My Business listing, and, you can do a SEO campaign, et cetera. But the great thing about this particular service is you know exactly who your clients are, and that is property management companies. And so they're pretty easy to find, whether it be, just doing a Google search or actually having a profile, for example, on LinkedIn. And, because that is, again, where your clients are going to be. Property managers are going to have LinkedIn profiles, and you can connect with them there. And again, it's a free way to develop clients or to do prospecting.
So I think that your clients are mainly shopping centers and that type of property. What does your day look like? What time does it start? And is it all just like very light litter, easy to pick up?
Well, it is light litter. It's like cigarette butts, discarded coffee cups, maybe soda cans, burger wrappers, or any of that type of material that people tend to discard, and it can wind up anywhere in the parking lot. It could blow into the landscape or onto the sidewalk. But my day, when I started the business, first of all, the intention was for it to be a side gig and eventually become a full-time business, a simple one-man operation. From there, kind of out of necessity, because my clients were so happy with my service and I didn't want to turn them down or turn any work down, we scaled the business up into a profitable business where like 3 or 4 people are working, and then it continued to grow where now we've got about 10 or 12 people working for us full time or part time. But it is a pretty simple service in which to provide, and it's almost as easy to do as going for a walk.
And literally money for you.
It is. It's something that's provided a very good lifestyle for me, and now I'm sharing my success with other people, and I'm actually providing free support. It's my way of giving back, and I just like to see other people because I think it's so important these days to keep maintain communities litter free, because litter is a problem. I mean, it gets into stormwater, catch basins, and you don't want, and it can tend to clog up a lot of catch basins and cause flooding along streets and et cetera. I really haven't seen people's attitudes change much in close to 40 years. People still find it acceptable to toss material wherever they see fit, and so the demand is just as great now as it was when I started the business almost 40 years ago.
Who is your competition?
Well, I mean, it could be all sorts of different types of contractors. I mean, that's the thing about what has made my business model so successful, really, is that we provide this service and we can do it better than anybody else. And so the key is doing it at the proper time of day, not during the day. So some of our competitors could be like a landscape contractor, for example. I mean, they've got the contract to maintain the landscaping, and in certain parts of the country where it snows, provide snow removal in the winter. And then, they'll oftentimes be tasked with, their clients, property management companies or real estate developers that self-manage, will throw the litter cleaning at them as well and say, you guys can do this as well. But, it's hit and miss, especially when you're trying to do it during the day. It could be large cleaning companies that claim to do it all and oftentimes don't do a very good job of everything. I mean, jack of all trades, master of none. But, I mean, they might offer what's known as a day porter service. And again, it could be done during the day where they're tasked with, with maybe wiping or dusting the window ledges, and they'll oftentimes be asked to provide litter cleaning. But what we've decided to do or discovered when I started this business so many years ago is, if you do it at the proper time of day, which is after hours when the businesses are closed, you can clearly see and clean all material without any type of vehicles in your way. And it's similar to that of a sweeping or a power sweeping company or contractor, where if they're going to sweep the parking lots, that has to be done after hours, where they can clean all the material without any type of vehicle traffic or in the parking lot or businesses or people walking around. So, we do that. In some cases, I'll be honest, some of the largest management companies might prefer the convenience of dealing with one contractor, but invariably, they find after a while, this convenience is great for some of these services, but it's not really working out for the quality of the litter cleaning service. And then they'll contact us. And like I say, we've had clients for decades because they're happy with the service we provide them.
I love the low-tech nature and simplicity of your business. It just seems so straightforward. And it's also a business where I'm sure that your clients appreciate you most when you're invisible. It's like they don't see you, but they see the result of your work.
That's right. and that's right. And, definitely people, our clients know whether we've been there or not because they'll check on our work. The building operators, property management companies have building operators that, get around to all the properties and meet other contractors, or, they have to meet an electrical contractor, or there's an issue with an HVAC unit, et cetera, et cetera. So, if they got time to kind of do a quick peruse of the property before the contractor gets on site that they're meeting, they'll quickly do a quick check and see, this place looks clean or it doesn't look clean, et cetera. And also, if somebody, like maybe a competitor, for example, maybe large landscape maintenance contractor who is tasked with cleaning up litter, obviously if they haven't been there by the time business is open, there's going to be litter in the parking lot and they're going to get complaints. Also increasingly, a lot of properties have CCTV cameras installed for building security. And if someone wants to see us, whether or not we've shown up to do our work at night or not, they could always take a look at the video surveillance to see us cleaning. And sometimes we do tend to kind of wave at the cameras just because we do know our clients from time to time will check, and they're out of curiosity. They're wondering what's happening at their properties after hours. And, everything is working out pretty well. You just do what you say and give some more.
Is it all plastic bottles, tissues, and cigarette butts? Any crazy things of value that you found or funny stories?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I mean, some people might think this is pretty routine in terms of what you do, and everything is the same every day. But it usually isn't. Every day is a little bit different, and we've found all sorts of valuables that you wonder how people lose. But people are people, and nobody's perfect. But we find wallets, we find purses, we find cell phones. We find articles of clothing. We find money, and sometimes you're wondering if somebody is playing some sort of trick on you. Like, I don't know if there's an old television show, Candid Camera, or even there was a show, I think, on one of the networks, What Would You Do, with John Quinones, and I think it was an ABC network. I don't know. I haven't seen it for a couple of years, but they would kind of set something up, and they wanted to see people's reactions. So with that little bit of background, sometimes we're at a property, and you'll come across several bills, money bills, like laying around, like a 5 and a 10 and a few 20s, and you're wondering, somebody just put that down there just to see if you're going to clean it up, or are they going to race in and say that's my money? But people are careless with their money. Maybe they'll go into a bar and they've got a pocket. This is the case of guys. You've got some bills stuffed in their pant pockets, and they put their car keys in there as well, and then maybe they come out of the restaurant after and they pull their car keys, and out come the dollar bills as well. And, it winds up in the parking lot. And the most amount of money I found, and, this is only once, but, over almost 40 years, but I found over $600 all wound up in a rubber band. It was pretty kind of wet and muddy. I found it right next to a waste dumpster. And I took it home and dried it out and unrolled it and counted out over $600. And unfortunately, I think it belonged to one of the store owners or managers. Somebody going out late at night and tossed the trash, and then they're probably going to go and make a late night deposit. But again, I think the money was in their coat pocket or their pants pocket, and when they pulled the keys out, unfortunately for them, out came the money and fell right next to the waste bin.
Coming up, who is this a good side hustle for? How many lots can one person manage? And what is business like during this COVID stay-at-home? All that and more right after this short break. The show notes for this episode can be found at inspiredmoney.fm/150. If you're listening in your car or wherever you are, check the show notes if you want to learn more about Brian, Cleanlots, and all the other things mentioned in this episode. It's time for the Runnymede Money Tip of the Week. Do you have a side hustle? Have you thought about starting one? There are a lot of possibilities. You could sell things on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. Gary Vaynerchuk encourages his followers to find deals at garage sales and resell them at higher prices on Facebook Marketplace. I have friends who have driven for Uber and Lyft to make extra money. Others rent out a room or another property on Airbnb or VRBO, that's vacation rental by owner. You could also tutor students over Skype. Some people create an online course. Websites like Teachable or Thinkific make managing an online course pretty easy. If you have contacts in property management and want to do something outside in the early morning or evening, Brian's litter cleanup sounds pretty doable. Picking up light litter like paper cups, cigarettes, and napkins doesn't take a long time. It also doesn't take much money to start. Basic implements to pick up the litter and garbage bags. I also like this because it's local. Think shopping plazas, office buildings, warehouse sites, and built into your business is doing good by cleaning up. If this sounds like an interesting opportunity that you might consider, you can get more information by going to the link inspiredmoney.fm/cleanlots. That's CLEANLOTS. If you do try it, let me know because I am really curious. Also, send me a message if you already have a side hustle. I'd love to hear what's working or what's not working for you. Email me at inspiredmoney.fm/Andy. That's inspiredmoney.fm/Andy. That's the Runnymede Money Tip of the Week. Inspired Money is brought to you by Runnymede Capital Management. We help you to plan, invest, and worry less. Now let's get back to the second half of the interview with Brian. You're listening to Inspired Money. I'm Andy Wong. Brian, when you're scaling your business, what are some of the challenges that you've been faced with? I know that your brothers were early coming to join you. Any ill feelings after you had sold their toys?
Well, you know what? I guess they learned later an appreciation for my entrepreneurial beginnings or spirit because, we've got quite the family business going, and actually we've never had a problem with people retaining employees or anything because we tend to hire people that we know, either friends or they were previous coworkers or relatives. And a lot of those people have worked for us 10, 15, 20 years. But then, even when some people decide to retire or move on or they don't want to do the work anymore, no shortage of individuals, especially, semi-retired people or, guys that are maybe retired and they still get up in the morning and they want an excuse to get out and do something, make some extra money, and then have the rest of the day off. And, there's a lot of reliable people that you can count on to go do simple work. And, maybe they want to work 2 or 3 hours a day. They don't want to work a full-time day, and that's fine. But, there's no shortage of good people that will, provide you with satisfactory results.
In your experience, how many properties can one person handle?
Well, everyone works or walks at a different pace. So I do know that, with myself as an example, and depending on the size of the properties, of course, as well, you could typically do have about 20 buildings under contract and not necessarily service them every day because some of our buildings are serviced 5 days a week and some are 3 days a week. But you could do about 20 buildings in a day's work, like 8 hours if you're pushing it, working an 8-hour day, and do six figures. So crack that $100,000 a year, cleaning up litter and nothing else. I did that for a number of years when I started out, and then of course we scaled the business and brought more people in. And now I'm 60 years of age as we do this interview, and I've scaled back the number of hours that I personally do the work, the litter cleaning. But I don't see myself getting out of it entirely because, like I said before, it's very easy work. It's enjoyable. I'm working outdoors after hours in the peace and quiet of the early morning hours and doing the work. And I come home and, do some office work. I manage the office still. And, the phone isn't always ringing off the hook. This isn't in a retail business. We've got about 30 clients and they keep us busy, but so long as we communicate with them and the work is done, they're not phoning us complaining.
Can you tell us roughly how much can you charge? Is it by long-term contract? Is it hourly? How does it break down?
Well, that's a good question because, a lot of people want to know, do you charge by square foot or how does your pricing compare to, power sweeping, et cetera? But what we have to do is we have to actually physically walk the property and see the property for ourselves to come up with a price. And our price is based on how long it would take to clean a property. So it's basically you charge by the hour. And depending on the area of the country, you can charge your time out anywhere from $30 to up to $60 an hour for providing the service. And but basically, you can have two identical size properties. And I'm going to give you an example as to why you can't charge by the square foot. You can have two identical properties, but one is more, most of the businesses are more professional by nature. I mean, engineering firms, doctors' offices, they tend to generate less litter or trash material. And then you can have another property identical in size, but, it's more of a retail type of environment. And you've got businesses that will, like sell pizza by the slice, and there's a convenience store where, they sell a lot of Slurpees or whatever. Maybe a fast food, drive-through, such as McDonald's, etc. And so there's going to be litter material, more of that on the property, and it's going to take you longer to clean. So I've written a book called Cleanlots, America's Simplest Business. And I put all my years of experience into that book, including, how to handle pricing and, how to start the business and how to scale your business, et cetera. And there's, pictures, diagrams, and as I kind of mentioned earlier before, the book comes with my free support. My contact information is in the book. And if anyone is serious about starting the business, I am available to help them out.
You must look at a shopping center parking lot unlike anybody that I know. You must look at it and you're calculating how much time does this take to clean? How much litter will there be? And coming up with a number.
Yeah. Well, it's always, you're exactly right. I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm looking at it from a different type of perspective. I'm looking at it. Is this building as clean as it should be, or it could be? And how much would I charge to clean it myself, et cetera? So
I think most people are just looking, where is the Starbucks? Where is the liquor store? And you are seeing it in a totally different light. Tell us a little bit more about your book and some of the online products that you're selling, because it's not a franchise. It's like it looks like a one-time fee. You're offering full support. Is this all just to supplement your business and you're trying to help people?
We've done very well with the cleaning business. And, I'm approaching retirement. I mean, like I say, I'm not looking at, 5 years from now when I hit 65 as I'm going to quit cold turkey. I still enjoy what I'm doing. And as long as I have my health, I'm going to continue doing it. But, I'm also sharing my experience with other people in other cities. I mean, you can't compete with me. I can't compete with you. And it's so simple. The simplicity of this business is ridiculous. So it doesn't make sense to franchise the model, because people are going to resent pretty quickly paying royalty fees and franchise fees for something that they learn pretty quickly. And there's really no benefit to having a certain name, et cetera, because most of your clients, property management companies, are independently owned in every city across the country. I mean, of course, there's always the Coldwell Bankers, the Colliers Internationals, the CB Richard Ellis's, et cetera, that are operating in the largest cities across the country. But, by and large, your clients, at the end of the day, are mostly concerned with, are you going to do what you say you're going to do? Are you going to provide the results? They could care less about your name. So with that in mind, I sell my experience in the form of a book or an operations manual. So you basically, like a franchise, you get the operations manual and you get the support. But I offer it free of charge because it's my way of giving back and helping out people that were basically maybe in the same boat that I was when I started out, almost 40 years ago, not much money, not much education, not many skills. And, here's a way that you can start your own business yourself and be successful, provided that you are passionate, patient, and persistent. And if you work your business, the business will work for you.
I think I saw that the ebook is around $80. The hard copy is around $90. In your view, how realistic is it for somebody to purchase the book and turn it into a six-figure income? And I ask because online businesses, right? Everybody is trying to figure out, how can I start a blog? How can I be the next YouTube influencer? And it's very, very crowded and competitive. This seems like something that every community needs.
It is. And, you were correct in mentioning about the latest, craze is, start a blog. I remember hearing and reading recently that right now, I think it was Google. Google released some information, and there are now over 1 billion blogs in the world right now. And so, and all these bloggers are competing for traffic and et cetera. And so, yeah, there's a lot of competition there. But, this is a simple service that isn't going away. People litter. They always have. They always will. And property managers who are contracted on behalf of the owners of these properties, they need to maintain these properties. I mean, after all, they want these properties to appreciate in value, not depreciate. The community expects it. The businesses that are tenants in these properties, they expect a clean property. And, if you think about it, when you pull into a parking lot, the first thing you're going to notice is how clean the parking lot is. Is there, tons of litter laying around, or is it clean? And you notice that before you start noticing the other things like, it's nicely landscaped, etc. And so it's a great service to get into if you like working outdoors and you don't mind providing the service. And, by all means, I mean, because it's not a franchise, I mean, you can operate this business any way you choose. I mean, you can do it as an owner-operator, full-time. You could do it as a side hustle, because, maybe you don't want to give up your full-time job. Or, a lot of other people have decided, I've learned the business by doing it, but now I'm simply going to manage it, and I'm going to recruit an army of people to do all the litter cleaning for me, and to each his own, but that's available to you. So the book gets you started. As you earlier mentioned, I do have some other products that help build the business. There's the business template package that someone, might decide, well, this will help me create the business forms or recreate the business forms by inserting my own contact information that Brian has successfully developed and used. And there's also a business marketing video that helps you sell your service. As they say, a picture, in this case, a video, is worth 1,000 words. And basically, you can attach that or use that in your marketing, and it explains the service and how it's done. And your prospect can actually see the work being done, so they understand, I understand the type of service that whatever John is trying to sell me, et cetera. And that's it. I mean, my major source of income still comes from actually cleaning parking lots. I'm not getting rich off this, but it's just a few extra bucks to help fund my retirement account.
Well, I love seeing your creativity as an entrepreneur. This makes a lot of sense for a lot of people because you just start small and you reach out. And if you can find just one or two clients to get you started, you just don't know where it's going to lead from there. And I think it's a lot less crowded as far as if you're good about making contact with people and building relationships. It just seems so straightforward.
And it is. And then, I've got some people too that, they're, like I mentioned before, they've got a full-time job, and, they could be, more of a white-collar type of career, but they want something a bit different. Everyone's situation is different. Maybe they want to make some extra money to pay off some student debt, or or generate some extra money for their kids' college fund. Every motivation is different.
College is so expensive. I'm going to need like 5 of these jobs just to pay for my 3 kids' school.
Yeah, well, and actually, one guy did reach out. He bought my book, and I had no idea, and he never ever reached out to me for some support. He never had any questions, and then after like about 5 years, he contacts me out of the blue and says, Brian, I just wanted to let you know, thank you, very much for what you did, and I got a bunch of contracts doing Walmart supercenters in my city, and I put 3 of my kids through college thanks to the money I made, cleaning these. And, I think he had some sort of white collar job, but he just wanted something different where he made money getting a little bit of exercise in the morning. And, that's what he did. So like I said, I'm always kind of blown away when, people reach out to me and oftentimes, I get them, get their testimonials, but people come from all walks of life that decide to get into this business. And, like I say, to each his own.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I really enjoy that because, I remember when I started out, when I was 21, and there wasn't an internet, but there was no information about this type of business that I could buy and that would save me a lot of time and money. I kind of had to develop it and through trial and error. And so, with that in mind, if there's other people, maybe they're in the same boat that I was back then, but they're in now, and they just want to work for themselves, and they don't want to do the 9 to 5, but they never went to college, and they don't have a lot of money, and this is a simple little service, and if anything, if you use the angle, it's a green business. Some people now, I'm interested in green opportunities. I'm interested in doing something for the community, and feel good about it.
Your business would appear to be pretty recession resistant. What has this very unusual time of coronavirus, has that impacted your business while stores have been closed?
Well, that's an awesome question, because I was wondering, how that would affect me as well. Obviously, we were very concerned when businesses were being shut down, and, if businesses aren't making money, they can't pay rents. And if landlords or property management companies don't have that money coming in, they can't pay their service vendors. So we were wondering, how is that going to play out? But what we discovered is, number one, we were classified as an essential service. So we were allowed to keep our business open. And number two, all of a sudden we notice that people are discarding, used latex gloves and masks and sanitary wipes outside parking lots, especially outside grocery stores and drugstores. And so I thought, you know what, I've got to use this as an angle, and I pitched it to the largest TV station in my city, a network affiliate, and and that's easy to do. I mean, you just go to their website, whatever media it is. In this case, it's a TV station, and they've got a news tip line, and so. I pitched my story. Within about 15 minutes, a producer contacted me and said, "We never thought of that. Yeah, can we meet you at one of your buildings early tomorrow morning, and let's do a story." So I met a reporter out there, and they filmed me going around the parking lot, actually showing this type of material. So in addition to the usual litter material that people were discarding outside the grocery stores and the businesses that were allowed to stay open at the time, now all of a sudden there's this other material and it has to be cleaned up. The reason I did that was mainly to be seen by my clients. And like I say, this is the biggest dinner time, news show in my city. And then again, a lot of people see the same show, see the same news or the story the following day at the lunchtime news. And I had some of my customers contact me and said, "Brian, keep up the good work. We saw you on the news last night." And it was a great bit of publicity that we have up on the website for our cleaning business as well. And so, what's that saying? If life gives you lemons, you got just make it into lemonade. And we did that, and to our surprise, we only had 2 of our clients come to us and say, "Brian, times are a bit difficult right now. We don't want to terminate your services. We realize how important your service is. But, because money's a bit tight right now, can you slightly reduce your service? And and accept the same amount or reduction in money or what you charge us. And so we did that for about 2 or 3 months. But as businesses have reopened, they've brought back our full service at full price. And hopefully there isn't going to be a second wave, because I wouldn't want to go through that again.
We're praying that will be the case. Were you able to land any new business because of the news story?
Yeah. Well, I've gone through, 2 or 3 recessions now. We've got the pandemic. But, to our surprise as well, maybe because of what we did in terms of getting the free publicity, but we've managed to pick up properties, over the last 2 months. And actually, we're probably doing a bit better now in terms of bringing in new customers than we did last year at this time, pre-pandemic.
That is so great. Brian, I'd like to ask all the Inspired Money guests, how do you define success?
Well, in my case, doing what you enjoy doing, and being happy. And in my case, it's being independent and being able to work for myself and being able to make a living doing it.
Is there somebody who's going to be taking over the business eventually?
Well, I've got 2 sons, and one kind of has that same entrepreneurial bent. But, he's more looking online opportunities, because, kids nowadays, they grow up with computers, their technology, and it's second nature to them. And so, he's kind of looking at those types of opportunities, et cetera, but he's not quite sure really what he wants to do with his life yet in terms of a career. So, but I don't really see, I think they, want to kind of go their own way, as opposed to taking over Dad's business. They have worked for me. They've gone out with me a couple times and indicated, well, this is pretty easy work, but I'm not going to force them into anything. And besides, I'm not ready for retirement anytime soon.
Well, your one son who's in technology, maybe he'll be cleaning up online litter, helping people with their computers with all the garbage that's on their computer.
Yeah, there you go. I'll have to tell him about that.
Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you for sharing your inspiring story and how you're making the world a better place or a cleaner place, one parking lot at a time. Can you tell the Inspired Money listener where to find more about Cleanlots and your book and your business?
Yeah, you can go to my website, which is cleanlots.com. And if you really want to get a better understanding as to what my business is all about and how it's done, on my homepage, there is a brief video that shows me out walking the property, and doing my thing. And there's all sorts of information on the website. There's testimonials. There's a media page, all the magazines and the media that have covered my story and frequently asked questions. And of course, there's the all-important contact page. If you have more questions, you can reach out to me. But cleanlots.com is where you can order the book and get going if you're interested in this type of service in your own city.
Fantastic. I'll put that all in the show notes. Thank you so much.
Well, it was great. I appreciate being able to talk about this, Andrew.
So what was your favorite Inspired Money moment? I enjoyed hearing Brian's story. I especially liked that he started small. Cleanlots was started as a part-time venture that he could do before or after his full-time job. It wasn't until he saw that he would soon be making more money cleaning parking lots that he quit his day job. This is a great way to start a business and to manage risk. If you had a different favorite Inspired Money moment, let me know by going to inspiredmoney.fm/Andy. Whether you had a different favorite Inspired Money moment or not, I'd love to hear from you. Send me an email and I will send you an Inspired Money sticker or a button, or maybe both. My son Jackson's really excited about his button. I'm still looking for books to read this summer, so if you share a book that you're reading or a favorite book that's helped you become better at what you do, share it on social media and tag me. I'm inspiredmoney.fm on Instagram or Runnymede Cap on Twitter. That's RUNNYMEDECAP, short for Runnymede Capital. Use the hashtag InspiredMoney. I'd love to connect with you. Inspired Money is edited by Christopher Wright of Wright Media. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're not yet subscribed, I hope that you'll do it now so that you won't miss next week's episode. I look forward to seeing you then. The music you're listening to right now and all other music on today's show is by the amazing Jim Kimo West. Have an inspired week and do something that scares you, because that's where the magic happens.